So I've decided to predict the final championship table. Currently, everyone's on 37 games played. There's 9 games left for everybody in the Sky Bet Championship. And I went on the championship table calculator and I predicted every result till the end of the season, and this is how my table came out. There are a bit of surprise in there, a few jumps, a few dips from some teams. Um, let's start off with number 24, the relegation zone. I do have Plymouth Argyle staying where they are in 24th. I just look at their run in and I just don't see where the points are coming from. I have them on 38 points, finishing on 38. So I say they get 5 more points in their next 9 games. They have a lot of tough games in their run in, and that's why I predicted them to come rock bottom. I watched them play against Hull, my team, um, around a week ago, and they looked really poor. They just looked really poor, and we're not a good team at all this season, and we dominated the match. Really, the second goal was offside, but the, they were no threat going forward at all, and they still have to play the likes of Leeds and Sheffield United, who are the top two right now, and I think they're going to get beaten handily by those teams and the teams around them. They play Derby in a big game on March 15th, but I have Plymouth Argyle unfortunately coming in 24th. Sorry, Plymouth fans. Hope you come straight back up from League One. Unless we go down with you, then we're gonna have to win the league again. I'm afraid. Coming in 23rd, this team is currently outside of the bottom three. I do have Oxford United. Oxford United have a very difficult run in. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Oxford United's run in. They have on March their next game is Watford, then Middlesbrough, then Sheffield United, then QPR, which is that's a must win probably, and Sheffield Wednesday is also a must win because then after that they have Leeds, Cardiff, that's a must win because that'll be a relegation 6 pointer. Then they have Sunderland and Swansea to finish it off. I just look at Leeds, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United. I don't see them getting anything from those games, and they looked really bad against Hull as well in our last game against them. So Oxford, unfortunately, I have just going down. I have Oxford coming in on 43 points with 10 wins, 13 draws, 23 losses. So Oxford are going to drop back down to League One, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I really like Oxford as a club, and I'm glad they finally came up because they were languishing in League One for quite a few years now, and they finally made it up last year, but I think they'll just go down, I'm afraid. Coming in 22nd, this was close. It is my table from 21st up to 19th is extremely close. So I have Cardiff dropping into the bottom 3 because I think the team above them, Luton Town, are better than where they are. They've obviously Luton have had a disastrous season. But the way they've played the last few weeks, they're grinding out results, and I still fancy them above Cardiff because they still have a lot of that squad from last year. They still have quality in that team. I think they've severely underperformed this year. And now that they've hit a bit of form at the right time, one of the big results I have predicted in my run in, I do have them nicking a 1-0 win against Leeds United at home because I think Leeds by that point will be very much close to clinching promotion or have already clinched promotion. I just see their quality shining through over Cardiff. Cardiff have a few tough games. I'm going to look at Cardiff's running right now. So Cardiff City, they're running. They have Blackburn, who are playoff contenders. Sheffield Wednesday, who still could make the playoffs. QPR, mid-table side. Preston, mid-table side. Then they have Stoke. That's a game I don't have them winning on my predictions. And then to end it off, Sheffield United, Oxford United, West Brom, and Norwich City is their final two. So not the hardest run in. Maybe I'm being harsh on Cardiff, but I think this is the year they drop to the championship. And I have them on 43 points as well. And I have Luton on 44. In 20th position, I have Stoke. So Stoke kind of around where they are. Surprisingly, I only have them winning 9 games. 9 games to keep you up is crazy. But I have them with 17 draws, 20 losses. So Stoke are just going to survive on 44 points. They'll just get the results they need. I just have them getting the results they need, getting a few draws, just picking up points, even in the tough games. Stoke are a tough side to break down. So I'm going to have Stoke on 44, and then right above that, I'm going to have Derby, because Derby have hit a phenomenal patch of form. For them, 2 wins in a row is pretty impressive. I have Derby County in 20th place. Or no, 19th place. Sorry. So I have Derby jumping up quite a bit, up to 44. They're currently in the relegation zone. I think Derby will stay up. I think Derby will just survive by 1 point. So I have a 3-way tie from 21st, 20th, and 19th. Speed this up a little bit as we get through the mid-table. 18th, I have QPR. I think they'll drop off quite a bit looking at their fixtures. I'll have to go back and look at their fixtures, but that's just where they ended up in my predictions. In 17th, Portsmouth. So I have Portsmouth finishing on 50 points, and I have Hull City, my team, finishing on 50 points. So before you say I'm a little biased, I have Hull jumping up 2 spaces. I look at our run-in, and yeah, we've kind of played the toughest sides already. We have West Brom, Luton, Sheffield Wednesday, Watford, Coventry, I see a loss there. Swansea, I think we could win that. Preston, I think we could at least get a draw. And then we have Derby and Portsmouth to end it off. So I look at Hull's run-in, and I'm confident we will comfortably survive in the end. And if I'm wrong, you guys can all take the piss out of me. Because obviously our run-in back in 2020 went absolutely horrifically when we went down after selling our 2 best players. So I have us in 16th. 15th, Millwall on 53 points. 14th, Swansea City on 55 points. 13th, Bristol City on 58 points. It's close. Look, it's really, really close. So Bristol 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah. So 13th, Bristol City. 12th, Watford on 60 points. So I have Watford dropping off a little bit. Preston above them on 63. Middlesbrough on 63 above Preston. And then Norwich in 9th. So I have 9th Norwich, 10th Middlesbrough, 11th Preston, 12th Watford, 13th Bristol City. And that sounds harsh because Bristol City are just outside the top 6 right now, but I think they're going to fall off. And I actually have Sheffield Wednesday in 7th. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I made it that way, but just the way the fixtures line up for Sheffield Wednesday, they're playing really well right now, and they're already not far off the playoffs. So they're 11th right now. If they make it to 7th place, it sounds like a big jump, but when you look at the points between those teams, it's all so close. My final table, so I have Bristol City on 58, and I have Middlesbrough on 63 and 10th. So 3 places, only 5 points separating them. 8th, Blackburn Rovers on 70. It's harsh that they're going to miss out, but I think Blackburn and Sheffield Wednesday are going to miss out. Sheffield Wednesday 7th on 72 points. In 6th position, Coventry City. I think Frank Lampard will just do enough in the games they have left. They have a few tough fixtures, but I think they'll get draws in those games, especially the game against Burnley, which will be a tough one. I fancy them to get a 0-0 out of that game. And I think they'll win the games they need to win. Coventry City are obviously on a phenomenal run. It was just stopped by Derby County, funnily enough, who beat them 2-0 the other day. But I have Coventry finishing in 6th. In 5th, West Brom with 18 wins, 20 draws, and only 8 losses on 74 points. West Brom, they're just a tough side to beat. They're a really, really tough side to beat. And they always have been. So I have West Brom in 5th. So the top 4 is the top 4 right now. In 4th, I do have Sunderland. But I think Sunderland are going to go on a bit of a run, and they're going to make it look closer than it is now. I have Sunderland finishing on 88 points, 25 wins, 13 draws, 8 losses. So Sunderland, unfortunately, are going to finish fourth and have to go through the playoffs. In third, the team that's currently second, and this is harsh, 92 points, Sheffield United are going to miss out. I look at the head-to-head game against Burnley, and that's where I think Burnley will edge that game. Burnley will win that game 3-1. I have Burnley beating Sheffield United 3-1 at Turf Moor. And I look at Burnley's run-in, it's easier than Sheffield United's. Sheffield United have a few tough games. But yeah, that Burnley-Sheffield United head-to-head game could decide it all. And I just look at Burnley, I think they're a bit better. And I think they're going to have to go through the playoffs, Sheffield United. I will predict the playoffs, by the way. In second, Burnley, who I think are going to make it close with Leeds United. I have them finishing on 98 points. I don't think they're going to lose again, Burnley. They're just such a tough team. They have 2 losses all season. The fact that you don't win the title with only 2 losses, it just shows you how much quality the parachute teams have. I mean, other than Luton, of course. And I'm sorry, Luton, to dog on you even more, but Christ, I mean, you're doing a Sunderland from 2017, 2018. So I have Burnley in second on 98 points, and first getting promoted to the Premier League, I have Leeds United. I think Leeds will get the job done. That win against Millwall the other day was absolutely huge because they took advantage of Sheffield United and Burnley dropping points. It was looking dangerous for Leeds United a week ago because they were tied on points with no games in hand with Sheffield United, and they were only 2 points clear of Burnley. Now they find themselves 4 points clear of Burnley in third after Burnley's draw against West Brom. So I think Leeds will win the title, and I think they'll dominate their run-in. They'll get promoted to the Premier League. So now for the playoffs. Sheffield United third against Coventry sixth. Coventry are a dangerous matchup for Sheffield United. And I wouldn't be surprised if Coventry beat them over 2 legs. But I'm going to go with Sheffield United, and I'm going to go with Sunderland to just get by West Brom in the 4 versus 5 matchup. So I have a Sheffield United versus Sunderland playoff final, and I really hope it's Sunderland. And I think it will be. I think Sunderland, this is the year they get promoted. So I have Sunderland beating Sheffield United in extra time. I think it'll be a 1-0 like most playoff finals are. They're really, really tight. And I just have a feeling this is the year Sunderland go back up. They've been building and building for this moment. When they went down to League One in 2018, they were a complete mess under their ownership, their previous ownership. And then the Louis Dreyfus family took over Sunderland. So if you watch the Sunderland Till I Die documentary on Netflix, you'll know all this. But their ownership was totally out to lunch. I forget his name, to be honest, the owner, before the Louis Dreyfus guys took... Oh, no, it was Stuart Donald. It was Stuart Donald, and then the new guys came in. But the ownership before Stuart Donald absolutely crushed them financially. They were in severe financial trouble. They had to sell almost everybody, and they went down twice in a row. And at that point, you're thinking... And then they don't get out of League One 2 years in a row. They spent a few years in League One, actually. And for them to come up and get back to this point where they're on the precipice of the Premier League. So I have the 3 promoted sides are going to be Leeds United, Burnley, and Sunderland from the Championship. That is my final table predictions. Obviously in the middle, there's a lot of sides in the Championship I haven't watched much of other than Hull City, the main team I watch. So my middle of the table predictions can be a bit hit or miss. I'm going to admit that. But this is the table I feel comfortable with. I think Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland will be the promoted sides next season in the Premier League. And they're all going to have a run for their money to stay up, of course, in this era we're in now, as I discussed in my last video. So thank you for watching. If you're so kind, hit the subscribe button, drop a like. Appreciate it. Any like, anything. Appreciate it so much. So those are my final championship predictions. Let me know yours. Go to championship, worldfootball.net, go to championship table calculator, and type in what you think the final results are going to be. Share your table and see how they compare. Thank you so much for watching, and take care, everybody.